Well, with the media malfeasance in the Trayvon Martin George Zimmerman case producing yet a new low for modern day life, I thought it would do some good to look on the bright side of things in 2013, as so much seems to be circling the drain culturally anyway. You know, when I was a boy through the 60s and the 70s, hearing that someone had cancer was pretty much a death sentence. Today, more often than not, after decades of slow and incremental improvements in cancer therapies, more often than not, you'll hear of someone being cured. They had cancer, now they don't. So far, treatments for this vast spectrum of cellular problems called cancer has fallen into three categories: surgery, radiation therapy, and chemotherapy. When you find a tumor, you either cut it out, burn it out, or poison it. Now, all three are traumatic, all three do damage to the surrounding non-cancerous cells, and none of them are very good at rounding up all the cancer cells, and if a few escape, your problem could come back. Well, that may be about to change. So let's bring in Steve Green and Scott Ott to share a little good news for a change. Gentlemen, in a nondescript business park in Oxfordshire, Great Britain, a small startup company called Immunocore has developed a revolutionary new cancer treatment. Most research on targeting cancer cells, and only cancer cells, have focused on antibodies, the proteins in our immune system that attach to foreign bodies so that the immune system's predators, the T cells, can recognize them and attack them. But Immunocore has developed a biological double-sided glue. One side bonds only to the cancer cells and the other side only to the T cells. They essentially cut out the antibody middlemen, and the results have been spectacular. Now, Scott, it's weird, isn't it? We live in a golden age of science, and it seems to me, anyway, a dark age of ethics and morality. Are they related?
Well, I think you can't have one without the other as long as human beings are involved. I don't know why, when you were describing how that whole thing works, I went back to like my Lego chest. When I was a kid, I had this big box of Legos and blocks and stuff like that. And that's almost what it sounds like. There's like exactly these things that just sort of click in place and out they go. Yeah, I think that we have some of the worst things that the world has ever seen are going on right now. And the greatest things that the world has ever seen are happening right now. And typically, those worst things are concentrated in the loci of power, in the places where big, important people are. But many of the greatest things are happening in little rooms and warehouses and kitchens and places where you'd never look.
Well, speaking of little rooms and the loci of power, well said, Scotty. Steve, here's the kicker. Government and government-subsidized labs around the world have spent tens, if not hundreds of billions of dollars for over half a century now trying to cure cancer. And it's looking very likely now that a small private company has figured it out. Does that sound familiar?
Yeah, you know, by and large, if you want a weapon, if you want to blow something up, you turn to government labs. They'll give you your hydrogen bomb. They'll give you your stealth bomber. They'll give you your drone with a Hellfire missile. Okay, that's fine and dandy. But if you want something that promotes human happiness and does it as a profit, you turn to private industry. Look, the Internet's a great example. The Internet was invented by the government, by DARPA, for the Cold War as a communications network to keep things going when entire cities were vanished from communications. But it didn't make people happy. It didn't bring Amazon stuff to your door via Prime in 2 days until private enterprise got involved and learned how to make a profit. That's exactly what's going on here with this. And you know what? I'm going to go on a little long on this one. This is personal, but I want to share this. Years ago, 14, 15 years ago now, lost a friend to leukemia. It was nasty. They ended up doing a stem cell transplant, and the stem cell transplant took. He was growing new marrow in his bones. He was growing his sister's blood in his body, which is just a remarkable thing. It worked. But refractory AML, which is the kind of leukemia he had, is so pernicious that even just a tiny, tiny fraction of surviving bone marrow, your own tissue, is enough to bring the disease back and kill you in weeks. That's what happened. What this sounds like is this stuff is going to target right into his marrow. Without the radiation, it's going to kill 100% of it. You're going to get your stem cell transplant, and you're going to live a happy, full life. This is amazing. I get smiling from cheek to cheek over this one, Bill.
Yeah, and you should, because obviously this attacks only cancer cells, doesn't damage any normal cells at all. And it's bringing as I said, it's bringing the predators of the immune system directly onto the target. Well, my friends, we may not be far from the day when private enterprise and innovation, the small, the quick, and the agile, will have done what decades and billions of massive government programs could not do: actually cure cancer. Now, Perhaps someone somewhere can work on a therapy to cure the moral and ethical cancer that's metastasized from our so-called journalism schools and utterly destroyed the only true safeguard of human liberty, the free press. For PJTV, I'm Bill Whittle.